Hey guys, Peter Franson here. Doing something a little bit different than our normal Bible study this week. I'm taking some time off of my normal routines to work on some long-term projects, but I still wanted to have some Bible content here. Not really a Bible study. This is going to be more of a reflection on a psalm, specifically looking at Psalm 64. So just know that I'm not in the mode of doing exegesis and explaining what this text means in its original cultural context, all those kinds of things that I'm aiming for normally. I'm coming to this with some familiarity with this and the Psalms in general already, and the Psalms have been very special and important to me in my growth, in my sustenance spiritually over the last, 5 years or more. And so I find that they're a good place to go also when I need to get some Bible study or Bible devotional content out there for you guys, but I don't have a lot of time because I've spent years meditating and reflecting on different Psalms and find them easy to kind of go back to and bring those thoughts back to mind. Anyway, Psalm 64 came to mind because I don't know, a few years back, it was a pastor at our church that pointed out the application in Psalm 64 to our current age of the internet and social media. Again, it's not a psalm about social media. It has its own historical context, but there are principles that really easily, I think, carry over. And so I want to look at this psalm with you guys because I think we've all, well, or many of us, have been in experiences online where we've just kind of found ourselves being attacked or have sharp words directed at us by others online, especially users who we don't know their real name. We're just on a forum or in comment section of something or, whatever social media platform you're interacting on. And I think there's just some really helpful principles and perspective that's provided here in Psalm 64. So I'm going to read from the ESV translation, starting with verse 1. The psalmist says, "Hear my voice, O God, in my complaint. Preserve my life from dread of the enemy." Have you ever just kind of been haunted by the words of other people online? That somebody says something that's really kind of piercing or hurtful or unfair and judgmental, and the thought of that comment, those words directed at you, the thought of how will I respond is maybe kind of haunting you, staying with you for a while. And so I think there's a little bit of a parallel there, and just feeling this sense of dread, this sense of this weight, this kind of haunting of our thoughts because of how people are treating us poorly. He goes on to say, "Hide me from the secret plots of the wicked, from the throng of evildoers, who whet their tongues like swords," like WHET, whet their tongues. They're sharpening their tongues like swords, who aim bitter words like arrows. And we could I'll stop right there. I mean, online, those are the weapons. The weapons are words. How much can I dig at somebody else? And that's not necessarily even their conscious thought process, but they are maybe reacting to something emotionally, and they just want to make their point, make it strongly, and just kind of get out of their system what they're feeling. And so that comes out in sometimes some really digging words to serve that purpose. And so they are choosing their words sometimes to specifically be as cutting as they can be, whetting their tongues like swords, who aim bitter words like arrows. Weaponized words, very common online. What else is common online? Verse 4, "Shooting from ambush at the blameless, shooting at him suddenly and without fear." That's what the anonymity of the internet allows people to do, to make their sharply worded point and know that this person, I don't have to talk to this person, I don't have to be in a room with this person, I don't have to be in any way accountable to them for what I have said. I can make this comment and then peace, I'm out. And so there's real cowardice in that. And I think that recognizing these things, recognizing the cowardice of sharp words online, can help us put in perspective the words that we're hearing. And as we evaluate, are these coming from a place of wisdom? Are these coming from a place of true perspective? Well, if they're coming from someone who is delivering them in a very safe, for them, a very safe way. And so what does that say about their character and how much weight I should give to their words? It's not to say that we shouldn't consider words just, that are delivered by people of poor character. I mean, all words, all ideas should be weighed and considered for their truth content. But I mean, as we're doing that and we're not sure how to weigh someone's words, I think we are meant to consider the source when we're trying to figure out, okay, I'm not sure what I think of this. Can I trust the person who is saying this to me? And these sharply worded comments from people that we can experience at times are delivered from the shadows, from the anonymity of a username that shields them from any accountability. And that, I think, should really say something to us. Shooting from ambush at the blameless, shooting at him suddenly and without fear. Why? Because they're hidden. They hold fast to their evil purpose. They talk of laying snares secretly, thinking, who can see them? Or there's other readings of that say who can see us, or who can see more generally. So I think in general the idea is, again, no one can see what's going on here. And so that all the more makes it easy for them to commit to their evil purpose, that lack of accountability that they feel. Verse 6, they search out injustice, saying, we have accomplished a diligent search, for the inward mind and heart of man are deep. So I think a lot of times what people express sharply online comes out of the wrongful, evil, corrupted thoughts they've been stewing on for a while in their hearts. And they have really been processing in the wrong way some really unhealthy thoughts, some unhealthy perspectives that corrupt their emotions, their perspective, and just result in the evil of their words. We have accomplished a diligent search, they say. For the inward mind and heart of a man are deep. So they feel like, we've accomplished a diligent search. I've thought of this all through. I've processed all of this. I've got this all sorted out. Is the thought that can happen in isolation from anyone holding them accountable to what they're thinking. The result, verse 7. But God shoots his arrow at them. They are wounded suddenly. They are brought to ruin with their own tongues turned against them. All who see them will wag their heads. Then all mankind fears. They tell what God has brought about and ponder what he has done. Now, this is a principle that can play out in the course of life, in the instances of stuff like this that happens online. We won't see that happening in this other person's life, which is why going to a psalm like this, being aware of this principle, is a source of comfort to me sometimes when I've been wounded and I just think, man, no one's holding this person accountable. They're just doing this. They're just doing whatever they want. Well, then my mind goes to what kind of life that they're probably living, what their relationships are probably like, and what God brings about in their life in response to the type of way that they're living. And so this is very likely happening in their life. And maybe they're in a vicious circle where they're not responding to God's judgment, his discipline, and instead they're just hardening themselves and going back online and doing the same thing again, the next day. So that could very well be a cycle that's going on. But there's also a principle here that should remind us, this is going to be sorted out ultimately and fully, especially with verse 9 where it says, then all mankind fears. They tell what God has brought about and ponder what he has done. Yes, that could, in broad language, be referring to a principle that's carried out in this world today, but I think it even more fittingly applies to God's final judgment and sorting through of all the rights and wrongs of everyone. And in that time, all mankind will fear God. Those that are forgiven I think will fear him in a way of reverence and respect and say, wow, he is, of course, so much better at sorting through the rights and wrongs of humankind and addressing them than anyone could ever be. Wow. There will be this sobering in our hearts. And for those who have rebelled against God, their fear will be of a different kind. But they will tell, all will tell what God has brought about and ponder what he has done. That's going to be worldwide. And so in light of that, verse 10, let the righteous one rejoice in Yahweh and take refuge in him. Let all the upright in heart exult. So in anticipation of what God is going to do to address all of these things, we can rejoice. We can let go of those feelings that are weighing on us because of what other people have said, how they verbally treated us, and we can know that God is going to address that, including among other Christians. There will be sobering moments for Christians that are saved eternally, but still will need to face what they've done. And they're going to have an exchange of some kind with the Lord about that. I think that Scripture teaches that. We can get into that some other time. But before kind of closing my thoughts on this psalm, I also wanted to point out that this is a corrective for us as well. As we maybe think that we are being righteous in our words, in correcting other believers or other people in general, online, in various circumstances, relationships, whether it's a stranger or someone we've interacted with regularly, I think we need to be aware that there is a safety we can feel when interacting with people online that can cause our words to be more sharp than they should be. And so I think a good question to ask is, when we're formulating a reply or something to someone, ask ourselves, when's the last time I spoke this way, gave a corrective in this way to someone that I was in the same room with? If we have never done that, then that should give us great pause to consider our comfort level in doing it online. If we have done that before, then it's worth pausing and thinking, how did that go? Did they receive it? Do people, when I give them correction or guidance or advice or counsel of any kind, face to face, do they ever receive it rightly? I think there's something to be said for the fact that the prophets were often not received and were their words were rejected. But I think at the same time it's dangerous to compare ourselves to the prophets. The prophets also had great compassion and would weep for the people that they were endeavoring to bring truth to. So we should ask ourselves, if we view ourselves in the same light, when's the last time I wept for the people that I think God is calling me to say a word to? But yeah, ask ourselves, how does that go? Do people hate what I have to say, or are they responding to the way I'm saying it in a way that's totally turning them off from the truth that I'm trying to convey? There's this aspect of communicating online, again, that can make us feel safe and make us, at the very least, less careful with our words. And if we're not monitoring our hearts, can allow us to give in a cowardly way to really just venting and being sharp in a way that's actually sinful and is not what the Lord has for us to share with someone else. So whether we are speaking to others online or being hurt by those who are speaking to us online, I found Psalm 64 to be really valuable. I wish it would have come to mind a few weeks ago when I was processing some hurtful words of some people online, and it was good for me to come to this now and be reminded of it. I hope that in some way it's been valuable to you as well. Thanks.